hello. Good afternoon, everyone. Good evening to those of you who are in the UK or wherever you're actually watching this from at the time that you catch the recording. My name is Jenny Lee. I am the founder and director of the I Will Tell International Film Festival. And we are super excited because after running for 16 years in London, we have now expanded to South Florida properly. The festival kicks off tomorrow at the YMCA in Fort Lauderdale with our premiere, our South Florida premiere of Remember Me, the Mahalia Jackson story. But before we get into all the amazing films and discussions that we've got coming up, we wanted to give the filmmakers especially, and everyone else, some insight into the really incredibly exciting things that are happening in South Florida in film. It's really kicking off here. We are excited to be here at such a time as this. And so to help us go through this, we've got two amazing people who have joined us from the film commissions in Palm Beach as well as in Broward County to tell us a little bit about what's happening in their counties and what's happening in the region, and give you lots of information on why you should come here to make your next film. So thank you for joining us. And we're going to start with Michelle Hillary first. Michelle is the commissioner at Palm Beach Film Commission. Michelle has got decades of experience supporting filmmakers in South Florida, was instrumental in setting up Film Florida, which I have to give a shout out to because they've been really good. And if you can see this, they've been really good at supporting us and welcoming the festival to South Florida. We really appreciate that. And especially to Michelle, who is just uber connected and has been so incredibly supportive of I Will Tell. So Michelle, welcome and thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me, Jenny Lee.
So Michelle, for those people who are maybe in regions where they don't have established film commissions or not sure how it works on a county level, can you tell us a little bit about who you are, what your experience is, and what your role is specifically? Because you've recently been promoted to this role after working as Deputy Film Commissioner for a while. So congratulations again for that. But tell us a bit about what you do and what filmmakers can expect from you.
Well, thank you very much. It's a pleasure to join you today. And it's always a pleasure to talk about the Palm Beaches here in sunny South Florida, and certainly what we do here as a film commission. You know, we are very supportive of filmmaking here throughout the state of Florida. Palm Beach County is one of roughly 50 film commissions throughout the state. And we work together collaboratively, as you'd mentioned, with Film Florida as the trade association that brings us all together collectively to talk about ways that we can best market and promote and service the industry here in the state of Florida. So it's really important for us to have that kind of collaboration and to let our filmmakers from around the globe, both locally and around the globe, know that Florida is very open and welcoming to the filmmaking community. It's unfortunate that our state does not have a statewide incentive program. I can tell you that I've been on the front lines, as well as Christy and many of us in our film commissions, as well as Film Florida, marching the halls in Tallahassee, fighting that good fight, educating our legislators about the importance and that this is a business that's worth taking a second look at, and putting some carefully crafted thought and a program together to support. But yes, I am the newly appointed film commissioner here in the Palm Beaches. However, it's only taking me 25 years to get here. I did start, the rumor is correct, I started here as an intern 26 years ago. It's hard to believe, quite frankly, but we had an amazing film commissioner for 34 years, Chuck Eldred, who I know many of you know. He is sort of legendary in the film commissioner role. He started this film commission. He is actually the one to be credited for starting Film Florida years ago. Him and Jeff Peel from Miami, Todd Rubin from Jacksonville, and Bonnie King from the Space Coast. They're really the pioneers that brought Film Florida together. But what we do here at the Film and Television Commission is we market and promote Palm Beach County as a destination, the ideal destination to attract film, television, still photography, music videos, you name it, to utilize our area as a backdrop, to stay in our hotels and to hire our local crews. We then facilitate on the servicing side of things. We work with them to find and secure locations to do that production. So we have a very large county, and we have a one-stop permitting process. We have 39 individual municipalities that make up Palm Beach County. I mean, who would think? But it's our job as the liaison between our clients, which is our commercial production companies, and our community in those 39 municipalities and additional taxing districts, to make it like seamless for those companies to get their job done. So they don't have to know where the lines are, where the borders are or who's what. We take care of all of that. So we work through the logistics, we get the proper authorizations, we make sure that the insurance is in place, and we sign off on commercial production to take place here in the county. And that's in a nutshell. We do this, of course, with an amazing board of directors. We're funded, by the way, through bed tax dollars. So we're part of the Tourist Development Council that's very well supported by our community and by our Board of County Commissioners. And we work alongside our sister agencies, which includes Discover the Palm Beaches, the Sports Commission, the Cultural Council, and sort of again in unison to market and promote the county for our own, specific industries. But in a nutshell, that's kind of what we're doing here in Palm Beach.
Wow. And is that all? I don't know how you have time to.
I'm gonna take a breath.
Yeah, well, the filming locations in Palm Beaches are absolutely stunning. In fact, across all of Florida, really. But there've been some really interesting films that have been made in the Palm Beaches as well. And I know, Michelle, you're doing lots of great work in encouraging young people to get into the film industry as well. So we'll come back to you on that in a minute. But let me introduce you to Christy and Vioni. So Christy is the film specialist for Film Lauderdale, which is the newly created film commission for Broward County. And I think we used to have a film commission in Broward many years ago, and nothing happened for a number of years. So it's very, very exciting that started up again. And there are lots of incentives that they've been putting together to help filmmakers. So Christy, welcome. Tell us about your role and tell us about some of the amazing new things that are happening in Broward.
Okay, well, thank you so much for having me. So yes, Film Lauderdale was launched under a new division for Broward County in January of 2022, so January of this year, under Economic and Small Business Development. Whereas the previous film commission was under Visit Lauderdale, which is the Tourism Council, but all film commissions are created differently. So whereas Michelle's film commission is its own contracted agency entity under the tourism umbrella in Palm Beach County, they have their own office. They have a great support system. The previous film commission was wearing several hats. So they were not just focused on the film and television industry. It was special events, music. So this being resituated in economic development has brought a new focus to the film commission. And then while there is some difference in the metrics that are important for job growth and expenditures in the county and things of that sort, what Michelle's office does and what our office does is very much the same, where we're here to act as a liaison between the film community and our municipalities. We're here to make sure that film sets are obtaining permits and doing everything safely and coordinating all the details as fine-tuned as possible with the municipality so that everybody is well aware of what filming activity will take place and the benefits it can bring to their area. So in that way, even though our offices are part of different departments, our goal is very much the same. We're here to support the industry. We're here to support our local municipalities in our county. So the incentive that was launched for Broward County under this new film commission is basically, it's a local incentive program that is attempting to capture some of the lost business that losing the state incentive has had an impact here in the state of Florida. So as Michelle mentioned, unfortunately, the previous program that was at the state level, which had higher thresholds and a larger rebates available for productions to get tax credits and tax incentives. This is a smaller version where there is a rebate for a minimum. There's two tiers of the program. A minimum spend of $400,000 in Broward County can get you a 15% rebate, but it's capped at $175,000. So that is to say, when I say it's a smaller version of what the state used to have, the state would give 30% a tax credit incentive back on a total expenditure for a film. This program, the maximum that you could get is 15%, but capped at $175,000. So it's a smaller scale, but the goal for that is to encourage some of the smaller independent features that are between the $2 million and $8 million range that would want to come and film locally in Broward County. And what they're required to do is film at least 50% of at least 60% of their locations have to be Broward County based locations, and 50% of their crew has to be South Florida based, between Broward County and Miami-Dade County. And then there's other certain stipulations, like they have to hire one college graduate from the area. There's certain things that they need to credit to the county at the end of their credits, so that we're shown for the tourism impact, so that we can have some of that film induced tourism, so people see these beautiful locations on screen and know where it was shot. So there are certain stipulations, but essentially the one tier program is the $400,000 minimum spend, and then there's a second tier program that's a $500,000 minimum spend, but there's a lower threshold for the percentage of locations that have to be in Broward County. So it's at 50% has to be filmed in Broward County, but a lower rebate that's capped at $100,000. Now, I know that's a lot of data to be throwing at people that are like, what are you talking about? This is a complicated program. All of this is to say it does mimic a lot of the statewide programs for tax credits, where it's a percentage rebate based on how much you spend in the area, but it's very fine-tuned to Broward County at this point because it is a local incentive specifically for Broward County. And all that information can be found on our website, which is filmlauderdale.org. There is a page you'll find a very easy click to information about the incentive program and how to apply. So any questions about that anybody might have that checks out this video, feel free to call us as well. We're happy to answer questions about it, because we do understand that the program is catered more towards a particular type of projects. So we're happy to talk through those specifics with people to see if it fits their project.
Excellent. Thank you so much for that. And can I ask, what kind of take-up have you had so far? I know it's new, but in terms of people registering interest and wanting to know more, or registering their projects, and also for international projects, how might the tax incentives work? Or is that a much more complicated tax question?
Sure, happy to answer that. So there's been a lot of interest. We get calls about it a lot, but as far as the projects that have applied and qualified, there have been 7 projects, which is actually quite a lot considering the program just was approved in June of this year. So it's only been open for the last few months for people to apply and get qualified. So there's been 7 projects. 3 of them have completed filming. 1 is just about to complete filming, and then a few are going to get started up on production here soon. As far as international projects go, so while the state incentive was a tax credit program, this is actually a rebate. So what it comes out to, as long as they meet all the qualifications and they show through the audit process that they complied with all the requirements of the program, they do receive they receive a check. So rather than receiving a tax credit that would need to go through the complicated process of actually putting that out into revenue, this is a rebate.
Wow, now that's exciting, and that must really open it up to a lot of people. Have you had much international interest so far? Do you think people internationally are aware yet of the new exciting developments in South Florida?
Not as of yet. The applicants that we've had so far have been some like romantic comedy Hallmark movies that are accustomed to filming in Florida and are taking advantage of the rebate to actually relocate to Broward County to film their project. And then a couple of them are South Florida based filmmakers that have been waiting for an opportunity to get their project off the ground, but needed this sort of oomph to get their budget where it needed to be in order to move forward. So we are participating in a lot of trade shows though. For example, Focus coming up in December in London to reach that international audience. Our film commissioner also went to the Toronto International Film Festival just last month to reach more international filmmakers. So the effort's out there, but because it's so new, we're just kind of getting it off the ground.
Fantastic. So Michelle, that's kind of what's happening with people who've got at least $500,000 or just 400,000 to spend. But you're also doing quite a lot of work with new emerging filmmakers as well. And especially, I'm sure Film Lauderdale will be too. So you can pipe in. But I know, Michelle, you have the film festival, the Students Film Festival, where you've really been doing quite a lot of work encouraging students in the area. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. As the executive producer of the Palm Beaches Student Showcase of Films, which is the largest statewide film competition for high school and college students here in the state of Florida. We've been running this program for 27 years now. We've given over $1.6 million in scholarships and awards. And it's really now, because of the long running of this event, it's pretty much within the fabric of our curriculums for high schools and colleges. They're very much aware of the Student Showcase of Films and prepare throughout the year to submit entries into the showcase. So I'm, it's something that I fell into when I first started here. It was a very small event. I think there was the first student showcase that I went to had probably 50 students in the audience. And our film commissioner was in the bathroom writing his notes on a paper towel, to growing that into what it is today, which is like the mini Academy Awards for our student filmmakers here. Everything is scripted, and it runs exactly like that. We just switched venues recently. We've been hosting the award ceremony, which is the showcase, at the Lynn University's Wald Performing Arts Center. That was our wonderful host for 12 to 15 years. And then we ended up having to go virtual for the last 2 years because of the pandemic. And it was this year that we finally got back in the theater to do the live show. And we switched venues to the Maltz Jupiter Theater, which for anyone who may have been a Burt Reynolds fan, Burt Reynolds was very near and dear to our hearts here in Palm Beach County in Florida. Specifically to the Jupiter area. And we continue to honor his legacy by awarding a Burt Reynolds scholarship to a Palm Beach County high school student who plans to continue their education in this field. And we brought it to the the Maltz Jupiter Theater because that was the original Burt Reynolds dinner theater. So we felt it was a full circle back to kind of how this whole thing started when he was, doing BL Stryker in Palm Beach County, and the county commissioner started looking at this like, wow, there's something going on here. Like, how can we get more of this production? And that's how a film commission was kind of created here, because they wanted to tap into that more. How could we put some effort towards really trying to attract and service the industry? And we look at the Student Showcase of Films, it's really our signature event for growing and nurturing and the industry here in South Florida. These are the future filmmakers that have an interest now and are going to hopefully, not all of them, but many of them hopefully will go off and create their own production companies, or hopefully want to stay here, because that's also, the end goal, that they're not going to leave us for places like California and Georgia and New York, but they actually have a desire to stay here in the state of Florida. This is a high wage, high skilled profession. People who are in the industry make good money, And that's what our governor has, always touted is good paying jobs here in the state of Florida. We need more of them. And the film industry brings that. So the Student Showcase of Films is sort of you probably see the little twinkle in my eye when I talk about it, because while it's a big undertaking for this office to produce the competition itself, which we received the second highest number of entries this past year, which was wonderful to see. But we also secure over 50 judges from around the globe to view the student entries to determine who the finalists are. And then those finalists are brought in for the big showcase and reveal, really, where we have celebrity presenters, industry presenters come in, and we show the clips of the finalist films and then announce who the winner is in that particular category. So it's just an overall really fun event. With the passing of Burt Reynolds, it was very sad. We did a whole show dedicated to him the year after. Vanilla Ice, who is a resident here in Palm Beach County, continues to be a part of the Student Showcase. It took me a little while to actually get him to come to the show, but once he was there and he saw what we were all about, he hasn't missed a show in probably 7 years now. And we a few years ago renamed our music video award the Vanilla Ice Music Video Award in his honor for his dedication. He's actually even been judging the last couple of years, so that says a lot. And Bert was involved too that way. He didn't just show up and present an award, but we actually brought the finalists, which would usually consist of about 5 student filmmakers. We'd pick them up in limousines at their school, and we brought them to Mr. Reynolds' home. And Bert participated in the whole interview process, which was wonderful. And just a quick little funny story about Mr. Reynolds, which again, I mean, he was so special. It started out where the students, when we were interviewing the student would make the comment, "Mr. Reynolds, my mom just wanted me to say hello and how much she loves you and your movies." To the last interviews before he passed, the young student filmmaker said, "Mr. Reynolds, my grandmother loves you." And you could have seen the sparkle in his eye and the smile, but that reminiscing, like, wow. And he said, now it's the grandmothers, it's a fun story to tell, and something that I will always remember about Bert. And his family continues to give back, and which I'm very proud of as well, because we honor that opportunity to carry on his legacy here in Palm Beach County.
If I may, really quick, I was able to attend this year for the first time, and let me say, these guys put together a heck of a show, and applause to you, Hillary, and the rest of the gang. I had a very good time, and I'm planning on going next year for sure.
Oh, thank you so much. We really appreciate that. Thank you.
I have to echo the same. It's kind of something that you don't know until you see it. And then it's like, you can just see these students get addicted to the industry the moment they hit the red carpet, because it's above and beyond a lot of what students have access to. They really get a platform. They really feel special. So it's a pretty magical event.
Well, and the rewards are really in the students years later. I will share with you that I just had a conversation with a student winner, a Student Showcase of Films winner. It had to have been, 18, maybe 15 years ago. And he was in high school. And what's strange is I remember his film. He had a really interesting special effect where it was a car scene, and the actor jumped through the side window of the car and came out the other side window of the car. It was like, how did you make that happen? Lee Capella, who is a filmmaker, has a movie that's going to be coming out called Rally Caps. He's a director. He doesn't live here. He's in California, Colorado, but he contacted me recently because he was interested in bringing this film, doing a premiere here in South Florida, particularly with the Palm Beach International Film Festival, because of the connection with the Student Showcase of Films. And that's how, you know, he said he was wavering about his career in the movie industry, and attending the Student Showcase and receiving that award and that recognition for his work is what really propelled his career and his drive to pursue a career in the industry. When you hear stories, you know, like this, it makes you realize why you do this. You know, these special stories of young filmmakers who have actually gone off and made a career out of it and who are successful, and then who want to bring something back to the community, which he doesn't live here anymore, but this is it, because this is where he got his start. And that's what the Student Showcase of Films is all about.
Wow, bravo, bravo. Gosh, I think I might have to make my next film in Palm Beach and Broward.
We welcome you, yes.
To stretch it across. But Michelle, it is really fantastic what you're doing. And it is a long game working with young people. And like you say, some of them may go on to make amazing films, and some of them may not. But it's certainly as a kind of wannabe filmmaker myself, when one day when maybe after about 25 years of the festival, I might make that film that I've really wanted to make. Just knowing that film commissions are filled with people who really care about the filmmaker, because independent filmmaking is a tough job. So knowing your genuine heart and passion for seeing people be empowered and equipped to do filmmaking well is really exciting. So thank you for being who you are in the Palm Beaches. And Christy, in Broward, you are targeting some of the people who are just ready to get going. And there is the new studio that is about to be built, which is going to be really exciting. Could you tell us a bit about that?
Absolutely. So yes, there has been a contract signed with the city of Fort Lauderdale with a studio group to develop on the largest open piece of property in Broward County, a very large studio complex. So this is going to be anywhere from 6 to 8 sound stages. It's going to be the largest facility available in Florida, not just combined with the whole studio complex, but the individual sound stages themselves. And so it's moving forward. Like I said, the city has signed the agreement to rent the property for like $1 a year in order to get this development underway. So what we are doing as a film commission right now is getting the mechanisms in place for Broward County residents to take full advantage of the career opportunities that this will provide. While we do have a lot of people in Florida interested in the film industry that will hopefully benefit and find jobs the more projects come into this studio system, there is also a concern that they'll come here and they won't be able to source enough crew. So kind of in a twofold way of getting in touch with people already interested in the film industry and meeting with young people now to get them interested in the film industry. What we're doing is researching ways to connect with students in schools and also look at programs offered by various technical colleges, Broward College, to specifically offer free certifications and free education to the low-income residents of Broward County so that they can find a pathway into the industry, because the studio complex is actually going to be built in one of the lowest income zip codes in Broward County. And those residents, they want to see jobs for them. They're saying, we don't want the studio to be built here and there's all this development around it, but we don't actually get to benefit from this. So we think it's really important that there's a mechanism in place for those folks to say, okay, I can go get training, whether they want to be actually a filmmaker or whether they want to be in set construction or whether they want to be hair and makeup artists or, set design, that we have avenues for them to point them to that they can get the kind of training they need to work in the industry. Because Florida's lost a lot of infrastructure over the years after losing the incentive. And so we need to get a workforce in place that's going to be able to support if the studio ends up one day having Amazon in one soundstage and Apple in the next. And hopefully that's, the dream that one day that would happen. And what that also will bring for the whole South Florida region is a lot of projects need 1 day in studio, but then 5 days on location. Those projects will also go out and film in the community, whether that be in Broward County or Palm Beach County. The whole South Florida region hopefully will really feel the positive impacts of that studio complex coming up. So so that's our effort right now. Beyond that, because of course the studio is you know, we're very hopeful that everything goes very smoothly this next coming year in developing and building out the initial phases of that soundstage. We also just want to connect with the community in general and the students that are interested in the film industry. And so we are working with some of the schools that have actual film programs in place to get introduced to them, to connect them with resources, to connect the various networking groups that exist in Broward County. Because our film commission is so new under this new division, it's still in the process of getting to know all of the local networking groups that are doing some of that work.
Fantastic, thank you. And I will just say we do have a few more people online. If you do want to ask a question, I think I can see your hand if it pops up, or you can literally just unmute and ask a question when you want to. Otherwise, I'm going to keep powering ahead. I'm just going to ask a little bit about just our panelists' thoughts on the future of independent filmmaking in terms of content and what kind of things can we expect going forward. I think coming out of the pandemic, the attitude towards film and art has changed significantly, because we relied on it so heavily while we were all on lockdown. And then the plethora of filmmaking just on an iPhone, and the digital technology has really democratized the process, not necessarily the quality always, but just anyone can do something. So people are paying a lot more attention, and the distribution means is a lot more democratized at the moment as well. So I'd just love to hear your thoughts on that, and where you think things are going for independent filmmakers in any of those areas, or a completely different area. And just to say to our online audience, if you do have a question or comment, please feel free to pop in. All right, so then who wants to take that question first?
I can start out. I mean, because my answer is probably going to be a little short, because we don't get involved in content as a film commission. So I'm not going to comment on that. Obviously, for student filmmaking, we see subjects that are each year that kind of mirror what's going on in society, from the pandemic to the political landscape, if you will, to other things. So usually that's what we see as the trend from our students, is certainly what's going on, what's in the news. We see that mirrored in their projects that they're submitting. But I think that there's a lot of opportunities for independent filmmakers. Obviously, the cost of making movies has gone down. The equipment costs, needs, I mean, what we can do on our cell phones right now it's just amazing. So a lot of technology has obviously changed over the years. And I think that, I mean, certainly I'll speak for myself, but I think because, what's nice about Florida is the support that both independent film makers and, major studio productions, they get the same level of service. Like for us, it doesn't matter if you have a $20,000 budget versus, I mean, obviously we like to see higher budgets and dollars being spent in our community, but we're not going to give any less service to those smaller independent filmmakers. Because first of all, you don't know where they're going to be a couple years down the road, and plus that's just who we are as a film office. We do have the passion to work in this industry and to help these people, but at the same time, I'm not, and most people on my staff are not filmmakers, but we know how to work with them to get what they need done here. And that's the most important thing. As far as content goes, unless we got some nudity going on the streets that we have to be concerned about, that's completely up to them and what they put out there. But lots of opportunities for independent filmmakers. We're here for them, large or small budget. We provide the same service level.
And I think that's something unique about Florida, is that the service component of this is so essential for us to be at the top of mind for potential clients. Because we don't have the statewide incentive, you know, customer service has definitely had to be at the forefront for all of us. And by the way, I used to work for Michelle for 7 years. So if a lot of my answers mirror what she says, Palm Beach County Film Commission is a training ground for a lot of people working at various film commissions across the state. So that service mantra, it spreads.
We train them too well. And then
It's stolen.
poach them from them.
But yeah, I mean, I think some other trends, I think that there's some pros and cons to the way that, you know, streaming has affected the industry, because there are so many more opportunities for people to get their projects out there. And like Michelle said, you know, lower to be able to do quality work with lower budgets because of all the technology advancements and everything. But at the same time, I do think sometimes there are projects where there's so much work goes into it, and it's harder to pool an audience when you're not at the Sunday 8 p.m. time slot. You know, a show can be posted up on Netflix and come and go with few viewers, and we don't always know the metrics of how well a project does with the streaming services. But the benefit of that is that there's so many more opportunities for independent filmmakers to get their work out there. So many more platforms for people's voices to be heard, which is really wonderful. And then, you know, on top of that, you know, everything needs video nowadays. So for independent filmmakers that maybe they have their passion project they work on 1 year, and then in between that, they're able to do not just commercial work, but social media work and all these sorts of different avenues. There's so many ways people are pushing brands out and content and products and ideas that I think people that are skilled with cameras and working behind the scenes in that kind of realm, there are so many opportunities for revenue so that you can kind of fund those passion projects that you want to work on.
And I would say too that, you know, for the state of Florida, for Palm Beach County, the independence is kind of our bread and butter, because some of the larger projects, unfortunately, are going to skip past Florida or do small segments in Florida, establishing shots or whatever, but they're going to where they qualify for incentives. And so, you know, obviously we've lost a lot of business as a result of not having a statewide incentive, but a lot of these independent projects may not have qualified for that incentive anyways. So they are filming here. And certainly that's what we have realized over the years, is that our local production community is a very important component of this industry. It's not all about location filming. We do both. And a little, you know, probably not too many people know, we have over 150 production related companies that call Palm Beach County home. And so we have a great deal of infrastructure right here in South Florida and Palm Beach County, and we work with those production companies as much as we can. Unlike the Christie's program, we launched a program about 5 years ago, which allowed us to sponsor us. We're squarely embedded in tourism. That's how we're funded. So what we did is we created a program that allowed us to sponsor tourism branded content. And so this was a way for us also to work with our local production companies, because we saw too many times some of our own sister agencies or businesses would hire a production company out of Chicago or New York to come in and to do their commercials or infomercials or whatever. And who better to tell our own story than our own production companies? Who knows the Palm Beaches better than those who live here? And so it was really because of the support of the Tourist Development Council that now there is a statement in all of our contracts that says that, you know, I believe it's 50% of any production related costs has to be spent with local production companies. That was a huge win for us. Mm-hmm. And now we're able to submit those bids out to our local production companies, so they even have access to bidding on projects that are being put out to the industry. So as a result of that program, what we did is we kind of modeled what they had going on Disney. We created the Palm Beaches television channel, which is the official tourism TV channel for Palm Beach County. And it was modeled, as I mentioned, by Disney, because when you go to Disney and you go in the hotel and you walk in, and on the TV is what? everything Disney, what you can taste, what you can smell, what you can do in Disney. Well, we wanted the same thing, a television channel that showcased everything the Palm Beaches has to offer. And what was brilliant about this program is we are utilizing our local production companies to put this content together, beautifully shot, branded content. But the key to this program is the distribution that Christy was talking about earlier, is they have to have distribution on a network outside of Palm Beach County, number of eyeballs. And then once that happens, that content lands on the Palm Beaches TV, where maybe it would have landed on a shelf somewhere and you'd have to dust it off every once in a while. It now lives in perpetuity on the channel. And because of that program, we've got about 64 hours of original family-friendly tourism branded content on shows from scuba diving to fishing in the Palm Beaches. Who knew that birding was a thing, but actually people come travel to different destinations because, you know, they like to see certain types of birds. We have a variety show that does arts and culture. Cindy is on this call. You know, we work with PBS on a show called On the Town in the Palm Beaches with Frank Licari, which is a wonderful show that highlights all of these amazing things that Palm Beach County has to offer. So, so yeah, lot of production going on, and I'm proud that we're able to really utilize the talent that we have right here in our own backyard.
Yeah, thank you. That is really exciting. Christy, was there anything you wanted to add to that?
No, I completely agree. I mean, while our job as a film commission is to market locations and promote the county as a destination for production, like Michelle said, it's such a great way to build into our programming that we support our local production community too, the professionals that live and work here. It's a really twofold thing. So that's really what a film commission is all about. So having those support mechanisms in place and ways to connect people and ways to find people work, and that's what we do.
So, and I will tell, of course, what we are all about is representing the underrepresented. So making sure that people of kind of forgotten cultures and races and genders and sexualities and, you know, all the kind of things that can be marginalized get an opportunity to tell their story and to be seen. And we know that if everything is left as a status quo, then some films are just less likely to be made than others. So has either of the commissions given thought to making sure that underrepresented stories have a kind of fair shot at getting their film made in the county? I know, Christy, you've talked about definitely reaching out to those who live in underprivileged or underserved areas to make sure that they're trained and equipped to get into the industry. I'm thinking more of people who might already be ready to go but need a little bit more support. Is there anything else that the commissions are doing or planning on doing or have done that can help those who are less well served?
So Michelle, I'll start with a short answer and then you can add and expand more if you want. But I will say, because the film commissions aren't involved in funding projects, that is something that we can't specifically identify and say we want to, you know, put certain money towards a budget for a project that's going to be showcasing a certain culture. So that isn't something, because we're not involved with funding and choosing projects that get funded. Like, for example, the incentive program we have is purely based on if you already have your budget in place and it meets all these criteria, then you meet the requirements for this program. But, you know, certainly I think where that comes is everything we try to do with community outreach, community development, connecting people so that they have the opportunities to fill those roles once those projects come into town. And then also utilizing platforms like Array Crew, for example, that spotlights women and minority crew members to get hired onto a project. So I think in that capacity and any way that we can help people connect and get their names out there, that's what we do as a film commission. But Michelle, do you want to add anything in there?
Well, I would say, Jenny Lee, you know, in addition to your charming personality, it really is the mission of the I Will Tell Film Festival that attracted me to you.
Yeah.
On a professional level, of course. but it is. I mean, so when we are able to support and maybe not financially as you know, we've talked about, because we have so many, I think we have 14 film festivals here in Palm Beach County, and I know you guys have many as well. So it's hard because once you financially support one, then you know, you've got to, as a film commission, you know, we walk a very fine line, but we can support in ways of marketing and promoting and working with you. I think I help with some judges and panels like this, that we can get the information out. I think, you know, when I have a film festival that we met maybe 2 years ago, maybe, and you told me about what you were doing and that you wanted to expand here and from London and bring something to South Florida, I was sold. I mean, I really like what you stand for and what the festival stands for. So that's how we're able to work in that arena.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And yeah, Michelle, I think I mentioned it earlier before, but you have been absolutely amazing. And I'm so grateful that we have this partnership to keep telling the kind of stories that I Will Tell loves to tell. So I am, yeah, thank you so much for that, which gives me a nice segue to tell you a little bit about I Will Tell. But before we do that, I just wanted to see if we have anyone online who's got a question. Now is your chance to do that as we're getting ready to wind up.
I got a question. Christy, when do you think that the sound stages and stuff will be opening? What's the target date for that?
So there is always complications that can arise with studio development. So I'm always I go on the conservative side when thinking through how this might pan out. But they have every intention of breaking ground this year. Excuse me, in 2023. I'm already in fiscal year. I'm like October 1 is the start of fiscal year. They have intention of breaking ground in 2023, and they might start with popping up sooner than later one studio to start bringing in a television series that's interested already in studio. So but that is our hope. But of course, now that the city has contracted the rental for the studio to rent this property for the coming years, that now they have to do all the environmental inspections and everything like that. So there is a process still that has to, like, just logistics purely for, is the ground ready, or does it need to have some civil engineering going into it to make it ready to put the foundations down and everything? All of that has to kind of come now. So so we're hoping 2023 groundbreaking.
Awesome, man. I wish you much success with that. And I think it'll be a great thing, especially if we can actually establish like a good film thing here, because I think a lot of people will be enticed to come here because not just the great weather, but, you know, no tax state. So you don't have to be paying your income, you know, state taxes.
Great business environment, absolutely.
Local taxes and all that kind of stuff. So yes, I think it'll be a great thing. So good luck to you guys on that. And one more little thing for Hillary. Hillary, Michelle, how can I if we have an idea to pitch a show for you guys to, you know, to be like a local show kind of thing, how do we go about that? Something like, you know, you were saying about the fishing shows, the diving shows. I might want to have a little idea for something, another kind of show we can do in there.
Sure. So you're talking to the right person.
Yay!
So yes, we can certainly touch base offline. There is information on our website that you can read about more about what we're looking for. But we do have you'd work initially with us here on staff to work out some of the logistics. There's an application that is filled out and backup documents to provide. This then, with the support of staff, then goes before a sponsorship committee for approval based upon, obviously, you know, what this is all has to be Palm Beach County centric, not a talking head show, but actually showcasing the diversity of Palm Beach County, location wise, business wise, people wise, all of those things. And then once it goes through that process, then we sign an MOU together with a slate of deliverables and time frame. And the big payout really is the distribution piece of it. So some of our folks pay for distribution for their projects. I sponsor, usually it's a series of 6 half-hour episodes of a show. And at a time, that's typically, we have done some one-offs. twos. We work with Bert Wolf, Travels and Traditions with Bert Wolf. It's a show that has been very popular on PBS. And he's done several shows just on Palm Beach County and the Palm Beaches. And we sponsor those particular shows that are just on Palm Beach County. So give us a call. I've got a lovely professional who is now overseeing, who's actually with PBS as well, but works with us here, Penelope Douglas, who is a seasoned professional. Yeah. And she's helping us really look towards the future of the program, our own distribution needs that we have, getting it in more of our hotels and public places in addition to the streaming platform. But we want to be in more of our hotels. We're at the convention center, we're at the airport, but we can do even better. So that moving forward is one of my plans, and how I hope to increase the viewership on the Palm Beaches TV. It's a great asset. It's a great tool to have in our toolbox. We arm our Discover the Palm Beaches with it, and the Sports Commission. Sometimes we'll collaborate with our sister agency on shows that are specific to those areas. And it's just an all-around win-win for all of us.
Excellent. I'll definitely reach out.
Thank you, Sergio. Do we have any more questions before we start rounding up? Okay, so and if we don't, then I will ask our panelists in a minute just to give just any final words of encouragement to filmmakers. And I just wanted to welcome everyone else to join us for the I Will Tell International Film Festival in South Florida. It's really exciting. We've had a few screenings in South Florida before, a couple of things even during the pandemic and just post-pandemic, but this is the first time that we're going to be both in Broward and Palm Beach counties, which is really exciting. We start off in Fort Lauderdale with the amazing film Remember Me, the Mahalia Jackson story. The executive producer and writer will be joining us for that. As well as the sister of the very recently departed director, Tracy Dowse. The director was Denise Dowse, and we'll be doing a short tribute to Denise also. It's going to be a really inspirational event, so if you haven't got a ticket yet, please get a ticket to join us for that. We'll also be screening at Movies of Delray in Delray Cinema in Delray Beach, and doing a few other really exciting things as well. We've got the Ubuntu collections of short films, people of the African diaspora. We've got the Redeeming Love collection, which is a kaleidoscope of short films about everything to do with life, including an amazing film by Kathy Tyson, the Golden Globe nominee and BAFTA winner. She's an amazing actress. We've got an amazing Ukrainian epic drama set in the 1930s that looks at that cultural genocide as a tool of war based on a true story. Really compelling film, so do try to catch that if you can. We've got a faith film on healing. If you've ever wondered about the power of healing, it's a great documentary that is so well crafted, that looks at the good and bad and the difficult journeys that some people go through, but also the incredible successes that some people have. And we've got a fantastic British drama that's premiering here in the US. We showed it at the British Film Institute in London. It's a lovely film by a Black British female director who deliberately chose a predominantly female head of departments for her crew. And it's a very beautiful story, kind of feel-good film, but shown through different eyes. So it's really very interesting. And I could really wax lyrical about all the films we've got, and a fantastic collection of animation shorts from around the world. We've got more than 43 films this year from around 20 countries, I think, around the world. If you cannot join us in person, then you can definitely check out all the films online on iwilltell.tv, and that portal opens up tomorrow when the festival starts, and you can watch all of the films for a really small sum for the festival pass, which I don't remember what it is now. I think it might be just under $30 or something like that, which is just fantastic, less than $1 per film. So please join us for that if you can. That would be amazing. And thank you for joining us for this. And if you're catching it afterwards, I hope it's been really useful for you. And I just want to say a huge thank you to Michelle, Hilary, and to Christy and Vioni for making the time to share with us about the developments. I know how useful this information is to filmmakers. So I'm just going to end with them, actually, just final words of encouragement before we close off. Perhaps we'll start with you, Christy.
Sure. Well, thank you so much for having me today. It was a pleasure to be involved with I Will Tell, and look forward to seeing the festival grow over the coming years. And if you want to check out any of our resources, go to filmlauderdale.org. You'll find our permits, our locations database, our incentive program, and get in touch with us if you have any questions about filming in Broward County. Thank you.
Thank you, Christy.
Well, very good. Well, yes, thank you so much for having me and being able to talk about the beautiful Palm Beaches here in sunny South Florida. I wish the I Will Tell Film Festival the best. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow because I'm going to be there opening night. So I'm looking forward to that. And similar, if we can answer any questions, we're happy to. You can call our office at 561-233-1000. Or go to our website, because there is a bunch of information on that website, from permitting to locations to information about the sponsorship program, internship program, how I got started here. So you can see that at pbfilm.com. I thank you very much for having me.
Thank you again. Thank you again to Michelle and Christy. That has been a fantastic session. I thoroughly enjoyed myself. Very grateful. And thank you for watching, and hopefully see you at the festival. All right. Bye.
Thank you.